You want to see that. But your relationship with Public Enemy goes way deeper than that. There's a New York Times article that calls you their private photographer. These are just some of the images that were in that little piece that they did. Actually, not literally, massive piece.
This picture here on the bottom right is Flavor Flav and Chuck D walking down 125th Street, and 125th Street is probably one of the most populated areas in any city. But that day was empty because they had closed the street so that Nelson Mandela could come and speak. And I'll tell you a story that's never been told before. Some of you like Sister Souljah. How many of you know Sister Souljah? Well, Sister Souljah was part of Public Enemy at one point. How many of you knew that? Okay. Myself, Sister Souljah, Flavor Flav, Chuck D, Terminator X, and his wife, and Flav and his mom walk up to the stage, and they got these folks standing there, suits, ties, the little button in the ear, telling us we can't go on stage. And Sister Souljah said to them, "Who are you?" "Oh, we're from Secret Service and whatever." And she said, "Get the fuck out of my way. You're in my city now. Get the fuck out of my way." And Chuck, he wasn't blinking. He wasn't smiling. I goddamn sure wasn't smiling. And Flav, even though you may think of him a certain way, he was not smiling either. And I have a picture of Sister Souljah so angry that tears are coming down her eyes. She wasn't weeping, she was angry. Those were tears of anger. And the person that was running interference was named Patterson, who later became, by default, the governor of New York. And one of the reasons I'm alive today is because of Chuck D, because Chuck and I, early on, bonded. I had heard their music. A week later, I was out in Long Island at Spectrum, and I was with those brothers. And one of the reasons I'm alive today is because I was so infuriated by what I was seeing going on in the world that I wanted to go down and film the Contras and that whole thing going on in Nicaragua. Chuck D cautioned me and told me that if you want to film revolution, if you want to film something, film hip-hop, stay here, we need you. And that this is a revolutionary medium. And we talked for a long time, and he made me decide to do that. So as a result of that, I'm alive, and I did document it, but I documented it with the same anger and the same clarity I would if I was in Nicaragua and if I was filming a war, because this is a war for the hearts and minds of our children. And they are winning, and if you want proof who's winning, look at these dumbasses walking around with their ass cheeks out with their flowery underwear. And somebody told them that's hip hop.
I think that these images speak to exactly what you're saying, the lens in which you documented this culture. Break these down. You got Public Enemy.
In the top upper left, you have Chuck D, you have Khalid Abdul Muhammad, you have Brother Bell, who passed, and above him you had Conrad Muhammad, who at that time was the minister of Mosque Number 7, which Khalid was also the minister at that time there, and also Malcolm X.
What's going on in that image? They're at a meeting?
They had a rally, and the rally was called Black Youth Endangered Species. And nobody that went to that, Sister Souljah is in one of the pictures sitting to the right of Chuck D in one of the pictures. Nobody that went to that meeting left that meeting the same, because they gave specific instances. You think this horse shit with Zimmerman is something new. They gave back then, I think it was 89 or 90, specific images and specific facts and factology of the attack on young black males. You know, the brainwashing, the bullshit, the sagging, all of that was inculcated into our youth, and it was not by accident. Right now in America, I think they have, what, 1.5 or 2 million people in prison. And then I got some dumbasses saying we're heading towards a police state. You got 2 million people in prison, bro. You already got a police state. And this bogus drug on war on drugs. A lot going on. And Public Enemy was one of the few voices that consistently to this day breaks it down and puts it out there. But Little Miss Drake will get more attention than Public Enemy ever will.
You have a shot that I don't have in this slideshow, but I want to bring it up. It's Flav. Everyone knows that shot with the big red clock. You say that you're the big red alarm clock.
On the back of my book, Who Shot You, which is a whole nother story about guerrilla warfare, me fighting HarperCollins, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is unarguably one of the most evil motherfuckers on the planet, next to Henry Kissinger, who during Vietnam said we could get the Viet Cong to come to the peace table by bombing orphanages and daycare centers. And that rancid motherfucker is still out there. In a three-piece suit drinking cocktails when many of my brothers and sisters are in the ground. All right, that's the part that you don't know about. Well, me fucking with Rupert Murdoch is in the book, and again, it's me fighting against the system. I did a book with Kevin Powell called Who Shot You? And it was powerful. And we wrote our asses off in there. And I get a call from HarperCollins through Kevin Powell telling me that my essay in there called The Colonization of Hip Hop can't be in there. So I said to myself, if this multimillionaire bloodsucker does not want that essay in there, then we should throw away the book and keep the essay. So I told him, you know, screw you, and we never, I didn't pick up their calls, but they finally capitulated, they put it in. But guess what? HarperCollins and Rupert Murdoch got the last laugh. Do you know why? Because I've gotten thousands of emails and phone calls and hugs. Everybody loves the pictures in Who Shot You? But I don't think 3 people ever told me they read my essay on the coming colonization of hip hop. And that broke my heart. You all need to read. Google. I thought Googling meant masturbation. You can't Google everything.
This one's legendary. This one we showed at Manifesto a couple of years ago, and now it's again in the exhibition upstairs.
Ladies first. This may be one of the most revolutionary pictures ever because, why? We originally come from a matriarchal society, and we've gone into a patriarchal society, which is just chaos. Chaos.
Real quick, I want to go into the science of all of these pictures, but first, the third person in, who's that?
MC Light.
Sorry, third person from this side.
Missy Me from Canada.
Blah, 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 blah. Jamaica, represent Jamaica.
Real quick, I'm going to go into the science of this in the meeting, and then the fact that, you know, we just celebrated Mother's Day and that we are all coming from a future nation. But tell me about the relationship between Toronto and Canada and New York from your perspective at that time. Missy Me's in this photograph with legends. She's a legend herself.
Mapuche. The difference, now there's a little girl here, I gotta clean up my mouth. The difference between New York and Toronto, both of them are creative centers, but I think that Toronto doesn't have the attitude. Okay, New York has an attitude, it's not necessarily a good one. An attitude is not necessarily a good thing unless it's a progressive attitude, a strong, unifying attitude. Not just, I'm bad, I'm tough. Okay. How many people are you feeding? How many people are you employing? How many people are you giving food, clothing, and shelter to? I don't care how bad you are. I don't care how many guns you got. And that's the question. And Toronto seems to have gotten past that gender thing. More than New York.
Yeah.
More than New York. Obviously, Toronto's not there because we as a society, we as men are not there. We went from a matriarchal society. In Native communities, the matriarchal is perfect, and think about this. The women decide who the leaders are because the women change the diapers. The women raised these babies and knew who was whiny. They knew who was strong as a leader. They knew who was a profound teacher. They knew who was good with the arts. The women. The men are off hunting or, you know, climbing mountains or whatever the hell, you know, feeding the horses. The women were raising these brats, man. So they knew instinctively who was qualified to do what. So the matriarchal, we need to get back. Because under patriarchy, all we've had is wars, revolution, bloodshed, and craziness. Think about that. I lost him.
I'm there with you. I believe exactly what you're saying. Going to this, again, I want to talk about Toronto at this time and Michi. So who else are you seeing from Toronto? Where was this taken?
This was taken in New York City. And let me introduce you to some of my peeps. On the left is DJ Jazzy Joyce, who's in my book. DJ Jazzy Joyce also has on a shirt that says, "Stop the Violence." Next to her is Peaches, MC Light, who I don't consider a friend. I consider her my sister. Because she's progressive, she's powerful, and she takes no shorts. Mapuche, we got 2 seats we saved for you and your daughter.
Right up here at the front.
Saved 2 seats just for you. We got Missy Me, Queen Latifah, and somebody who to this day never got over being in the middle. Moni in the middle. Moni Love, who's from England. So what I did was, I said, who's first? And they all looked at me. I said, who's first? And they said, ladies first. And they all looked.
Legendary. So this is shot in New York. Michi's down in New York.
Yeah.
What other Canadians are you seeing around that time? Is there anyone else coming that you?
Well, Drake wasn't there. He was still in prep
Maestro?
school. He
You got any shots
was
at Maestro?
taking ballet lessons, I believe. I got a picture.
I don't even think he was born.
He probably wasn't born. I don't know if he's born yet.
He's on a TV show, probably.
Yeah, he was.
Degrassi.
Maestro, you got shots of Maestro from this time? Maestro Fresh West?
No.
No?
I didn't meet him till I met you.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, at the so many things to say.
When was the first time that you came to Canada?
2009.
That was the first time through Dalton.
Through Dolphin Higgins,
Yeah.
and you showed me mad love and took me through the graffiti. And if the weather wasn't so bad, I'd move up here. I mean, Jersey is no picnic, but damn. If I gotta move somewhere, I want sun. I'm a sun person. All of icicles, you know, it's like, yeah. And you all just had a taste. You all just had a taste, just a taste this past winter of what's coming. Because if you have global warming, you also have to have a part that the heat comes from.
Some of you may not know this, Brother Ernie went through a little time with the ice storm in New Jersey where you had no power, no lights. Tell us what that was like.
We had trees down, and we had FEMA. First thing we had was FEMA and the Red Cross, and I knew we were double-crossed, and I knew we were screwed when we saw FEMA. FEMA is the Federal Emergency Management Association, and they are also part of the military, paramilitary, and police structure. They go in there and offer you aid, but they also are a spy organization. And they find out everything. And there's a book called Behold a Pale Horse, which was written quite some time ago, which describes FEMA. And you don't realize FEMA until you actually see these clowns.
William Cooper?
Yeah, William Cooper, who was killed by the feds on his doorstep. Also the Red Cross. It's interesting, I had no food, and we had run out of water, and it was chaos. And the Red Cross was there, but they had no food for us, and I kept trying to reach out to them to get food. And when they saw me, when I was on TV dissing the Red Cross, all of a sudden these people with suits showed up and promised me food. No food ever came. Then they had more suits, and you know, the upper management, because I was on TV a second time dissing them, still no food materialized. So one of the things that I caution all of you is to keep a good supply of canned foods. Make sure you have a can opener also, not an electric one. Think about that. Imagine having food, canned food and electric can opener, you know, have that, you know, have a manual can opener.
You gotta get that knife skill.
Have food, have water. Have a week's supply of food, have a week's supply of water. And that's my word, and that's the truth. Keep food, keep tuna, keep anything non-perishable, all right? And keep water, keep food, keep some sharp knives. Shall I say that again, and you interpret it? Keep some sharp knives. Keep yourself and understand that there's a lot going on that you don't know about. If I were to tell you what's about to happen, I think many of you would not sleep tonight.
That's going to come up. We're going to have a conversation about
We may
that.
not.